Warning: the following podcast show that you're about to listen to will include explicit language and content in which you, the members of the audience, may find offensive. Audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience.
Yeah, boy.
Where anything and everything is a subject matter on the show, and no subject matter is ever taboo.
Damn, that's what's up with you.
And now, your host with the most, Mr. Kim Hoang. Bro, am I getting paid for this?
Yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How in the world are you? This is your boy, Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation, and your host with the most, the man with the plan, the guy that can bring the power within the hour, and the dude with the right attitude. And we're cooking up another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Actually, we're here over in the KU Dungeon, over here in Annapolis Junction, Maryland. It feels pretty good to be back. You know, it was one of those things where, like, man, you know, when you don't do something for a while, sometimes, depending on the person, you know, it could be like, wow, a reintroduction, if you will. And it would kind of feel a little bit weird, like, wow, maybe I need to put the training wheels back on. Because it's been a while. Because it's like one of those things where, like, you know, there's a saying that I grew up with that, you know, if you don't use it, you lose it. And I started to kind of lose it a little bit. I don't know. Like, I feel like it was just one of those things where it kind of got the best of me a little bit, and I can go more into detail on that a little bit. But before we really jump into it, you know, obviously here at the KU Dungeon, you know, the private space, and just kind of kicking it and having a good time. I'm actually in the area of the KU Dungeon where a lot of you know, martial arts training from traditional to, you know, MMA. This room is kind of like, you know, the multi-purpose room for that. And it also moonlights as, you know, whenever I need to, you know, come in and do an episode here for the podcast, you know, it's that type of room. Or, you know, if, you know, you need to work on special type of training for, you know, film stuff, like going through the fight choreography or learning a little bit about stunts, and you're just, you know, practicing the stunts. This is it. You know, this is the space. And I just want to, as always, give a quick shout out to my benefactor in that perspective, Mr. Sean Queen, who is the actual owner of the KU Dungeon, aka Kicked Up Fitness over at National Business Parkway. And you know, it's a great space. You know, it really is. And for anybody that wants to go ahead and check it out, you know, obviously you can go over to, you know, any search engine. You know, I usually go through Google, you know, and just type in, you know, Kicked Up Fitness, National Business Parkway. It'll go and throw you over to the website, and you can learn a little bit more about, you know, this gym and what it offers. And it's really amazing. It's one of those things, man, that, you know, for the gym that it is and the space that it has and the people that work here, it's really amazing. You know, it kind of reminds me of like one of those mom and pop shop type of deals, but it's a lot better. You know, you have people that that work here that knows what they're talking about when it comes to like working out and nutrition and things of that nature. A lot of you know, talented and knowledgeable trainers, great staff, and just, you know, a lot of people who work out here. They're very nice. You know, they're very supportive of you. They're just like, you know, hey, you can do it, man. You know, just take it one step at a time. You got this. And it's crazy, but it's cool. It's really cool. And I like it. I really do. So let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Obviously, there's no better way to start this episode, but as many people know, I have not been on in quite a while. And a lot of people were wondering what was happening. A lot of people thought that, was this it? Was this like the last hurrah of the podcast as we know it? Are you quitting? Are you throwing in the towel? Are you on vacation and you just didn't tell us? What is going on? And, first and foremost, I think that everybody out there, everyone that's listening that is a big fan of the show, a big follower of the show, that subscribes to our podcasts and all of those podcasting platforms, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for the love and concern. I definitely appreciate that, and it's good. It's awesome. It makes me feel appreciated, and it makes me feel like people do care. For sure. But as a person that actually is a host of a podcast, I'm responsible mainly for what happens, the traction and the traffic and the stuff that goes in and out of the show. I'm responsible for all that. And because of my negligence, I do want to apologize first and foremost, because you guys were in the right to know, and I didn't inform people. And, it's one of those things where, like, I should have, but I didn't. And for that reason, I definitely want to apologize. Now, I could lie to you and say that I was on vacation, which actually would be a cool lie. I won't, I'll be totally honest with you here. It would be cool if I said, yeah, I was on vacation and I was doing this and that and everything. But the truth of the matter is that did not happen. The reason why I was away for a while was because I was sick. I was really sick for a little bit, and it really did a number on my body. Right now, as we stand, currently speaking, I'm okay. For obvious reasons. I'm alive and well. You can hear it. And it actually shows because, number one, I'm creating content for you guys. But number two, you can definitely tell vocally if somebody's really, not feeling well, down in the dumps, and, physically they're just, pretty much shot. And that's what happened, was I was pretty much shot. After the episodes that I made over at the National Harbor, covering a little bit of the NASCA 6A rated U.S. Capitol Classics. Shortly, like a day or two later, I was really feeling sick. And my body felt it, and I knew it, because I was coughing a lot. There was not a moment that, I was just coughing and hacking up, mucus and all this stuff, and I just was really feeling terrible. It was god awful, and I tried to ignore it at first. I really did. I thought, maybe I'll be okay. Maybe it's just in my head. But as the days kept on piling on, it got worse and worse to the point where, like, okay, now I know it's a little bit serious. So I needed to go ahead and, number one, get medication for all the symptoms that I was having, because I was coughing, I was, again, hacking up mucus, and, I just really wasn't feeling well. And the one thing that I want to eliminate is that I was not COVID-19 positive. I can tell you that right now, honestly, with a straight face. One of my coworkers actually came to visit me over where I work at during my day job, during the day. And she knew, like, wow, you're really sounding terrible. You're really in bad shape. And I said, well, yes, ma'am. I've seen better days. She had said at that point, like, hey, you know what? You have some sick days. You can take like a day or two off just so that, you can feel a little bit better and so forth. And maybe that'll do your body some good. You know what I mean? So, I took that under serious advisement, and I did. She also said, I think it's a good idea if you took a COVID-19 test and just check to make sure that, that you're not positive. Because if you're not positive, that eliminates a lot of things and you don't have to worry about a lot of stuff. However, if you do have COVID-19, it's best to be notified and and then you tell people, and then unfortunately you'll have to stay away for maybe 7 to 10 days or whatever, but at least that you'll be kept safe. So I did take that test. Thank God it turned out to be negative. The result was negative, so that was good. I was really happy about that. And then the only thing I really needed to do was just basically continue on trying to get better. So I remember I requested off Wednesday and Thursday of, that 1 week, because on, Monday and Tuesday I was really feeling like crap. So I took off for 2 days on Wednesday and Thursday. Friday I went back into work thinking, okay, if I can just work that day and get through it, then I have Saturday and Sunday just to rest and relax and recover, which I did. And throughout that week and the following week, I followed a routine, taking a lot of medicines, for what I was, going through, all the symptoms and whatnot. I think that we could rule it that I had a cold and I had a flu at the same time, which really surprised me, because me being sick during, August is a little bit weird. I never usually get sick during that time frame. I usually get sick around maybe October or November, when you start to feel the coldness of of fall going into winter, like when the temperature does drop and drops drastically. This was a first for me. So for the fact that I was sick and so forth, I really wanted to take time off and just make sure that I rested in the right way. It sucked because obviously I took time off of podcasting to concentrate on my health and to get a little bit better. I know that, it sucks because a lot of people like the content that I put out there. They love what I do. They love to hear me, banter here and banter there and do this and do that and everything. And God bless y'all. Like, seriously, I mean, totes all the way. But I'm a person that believes, I highly believe that, if you're feeling sick, if you're ill and you're not feeling at your best, it is highly advisable to take time off for yourself. If you have the PTO, which is the paid time off, use it, stay at home, get better, focus on getting better, rest up, get a lot of rest, drink a lot of water, take the medication. If you happen to have those vitamins, like vitamin C, D, and E and so forth, they're good antioxidants for you, so that it actually might help speed up the healing process. Now, mind you, I am not a medical doctor. I don't know that 100% for a fact. I'm just saying, based on an opinion, that is something that works for me. If you feel like you want to go ahead and take that opinion, go for it. I'm definitely all about it. I always feel like sharing is caring, and what may possibly work for me may possibly work for you guys. But if you feel like, because you're not a medical professional, you may not know what you're talking about, which, that is true. I'm not a medical professional. You don't have to take my advice for nothing. So, all I know is what I did, which was rest, which was also bulk up on a lot of water consumption, taking my meds, making sure that I'm coughing out all of the mucus out of my system, which I did through a lot of hot showers and coughing it out in the shower. I know it's kind of gross and that's kind of graphic, but, I'm just telling you what I did. And just making sure that I was in a good area. And like I said, going forward at this very moment in time, I'm doing a lot better. And I think it's safe to say that I'm in the clear now, which is good, because the next time that I do get paid, I do plan on getting, number one, a flu shot. I definitely want to get a flu shot. I really want to get a flu shot so I can go ahead and make sure that I don't get sick. And then I would like to also get a COVID-19 shot, because I feel like, that's still a serious thing. And I feel like, a lot of us are kind of like, in a sense, we're just really just, underestimating it, and we really shouldn't. It was a pandemic for a reason. It still is. It is, in my opinion, that I feel like there are still certain people, when hit with that stuff, it's a serious situation. You know what I mean? So I'm really glad that I took the time to just rest and recover. Did I let the quality of my work suffer in the terms of the podcast? Yeah, you can definitely say that I did, but it was justified because, again, I'd rather be here right now doing what I do here on the podcast and giving you my 100% best in, full mind, body, and spirit. If one of those things are cut off, where like I only have 2 out of the 3 that I can give 100% for, then I'd rather not risk it. I'd rather just take time off, do what I need to do, and that's it. In this case, physically, I was unable to do what was necessary of me when it comes to, committing to the podcast and getting it done and doing it the right way. And I know that the quality of the work would have suffered if I just would have tried to push through it and still be sick and doing this, that, and everything. So I am sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that I was gone for a little bit, but that is my reason. I am doing better, and I'm here, and it's wonderful, and it's great to be back. Lots to, catch up on and talk about and so forth, and we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to do some more. I'll bring out more content, more to discuss, and other things to follow, suit along the way. So do what you need to do. Take a break. Go to the restroom. Answer a few phone calls that you missed or texts, and et cetera, et cetera. Get yourself something to drink or eat, and come back. Because the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is coming in hot. And we're just heating up. We're really starting to cook here. I want to tell you about an amazing store that's really good for all musicians, music enthusiasts, and a whole lot more, which is Chuck Levin's Washington Music Center in Wheaton, Maryland. That's right, you heard it correctly. Since 1958, Chuck Levin's has been actually tearing up the game when it comes to the music scene. And guess what? Since 1958, they have been the store to go to and a must-visit destination for any serious musician passing through our nation's capital. So, if you're actually a person that's in a band looking for a new instrument, such as an electric guitar, an acoustic guitar, a bass guitar, or maybe some drums, if you're a DJ looking for like the greatest DJ equipment, such as turntables and so forth, they got you. Hey, are you actually in an orchestra playing a woodwind instrument, brass instrument, or strings? They got you. They got all the classical instruments that you need. And let's not forget, for all my fellow podcasters, need a microphone? They got you. Need a podcasting vocal track recorder? They got you. They got everything, man. And I'm telling you, it's the best place to go. So if you want to check them out, go ahead and do so, because right here at Chuck Levin's, They're the best. Forget the rest. Mess with the best. Located over at 11151 Veers Mill Road in Wheaton, Maryland, they're open Monday through Saturdays, 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. If you want to know more about what they have to offer, you can go over to chucklevins.com online or give them a buzz at area code 301-946-8808. Chuck Levin's Washington Music Center. Like I said before, don't worry about the rest. Mess with the best.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. It was good that we took a little bit of an intermission because I know going into the next segment, it's going to get me, I don't know if it's going to be a thing where I'm going to get very emotional about it. I do know that I have some good feelings about it, and, I guess it just brings, it just brings me back in a sense. And this is something that I felt like, wow, if I have this going into this segment, I have to use it. And the one thing that I would definitely say is that if I speak on a certain subject and it gets me on the fields, or if it gets me on the feels, then I feel like, yeah, it's coming from the heart. It's easy to talk about in many senses. And I guess you can say, for a lack of a better term, that, I just, there's that passion. There's that passion. And it was a good moment for me to think about it. It's a good moment for me to talk about it and share it with you guys. Recently, the martial arts school that I train at, where I'm a student, they had a recent test. They had a recent examination where it was going to be, I believe, there was maybe, I think, 3 students testing for, a higher color belt. And then there was going to be 3 black people testing for different levels of black belt. One of them testing for a first-degree black belt. The other 2 were testing for a second-degree black belt. And when I heard about this examination, I felt like it was a perfect opportunity, a great opportunity to kind of, have a reunion of sorts, of reconnecting with people and so forth. And just seeing people that I probably haven't seen in a while. And it was good. I haven't had time to train as much as I wanted to, in the sense of going and attending the class, because with my day job, it's one of those things where it's it could be a lot of things going on there, for sure, and it's not really guaranteed that I'm going to be getting out on time enough to travel through the Washington, D.C. area, going on, 50, going into Annapolis, which would probably, during the afternoon and with traffic, it would definitely take at least over an hour, at least. So when I heard about this test, I felt like, man, I definitely got to go there and show my respect and meet up with people and just, socialize with the big boys. I did not realize that, there were a lot of people that, attended that I haven't seen in quite a while. Past instructors, many people that actually carved their name into the school and had helped made tremendous history. 2 of them are my senior instructors, who are both my good friends, who also won brand championship in the men's black belt division of sparring, which is incredible. And to see them, to see our grandmaster, to see a lot of people that are, still current with the movers and the shakers of doing what they're doing now, I felt really honored to be there. When the rule of thumb is this: when you hear that there's going to be a test, you try your very best to go ahead and to attend it. And especially of you being a black belt, you have a responsibility because you're sitting at the black belt table, helping with the examination, making sure that, if, you're given like a piece of paper to, grade somebody, that you will do it, that you will be a fair examiner, and just making sure that everything is run smoothly. And most important is that if you show up in uniform, you then at any and every time possibly could get called up and say, hey, I need you to be on the floor with such person and help them do this, and this. Which, that did happen. I showed up, had my uniform, got dressed up, put the black belt on, and I was doing a lot of things. I was multitasking. I was told to do this. I was told to do that. I was told to help this person out. And I was okay with it. I was like, yes, sir. We got to do our part to make sure that the test runs smoothly and that, there would be no delays and you're just doing your part. You're giving back. Just how, before I was a black belt, there was probably another black belt helping me out with the portion of the exam because there weren't that many people that could, help me out or even it out because maybe I was the odd one out. So they needed to put like a black belt judge or somebody to make it even and so forth. And I definitely understood that. I definitely learned a lot. I definitely saw a lot. I definitely saw, hungry students that are not black belts yet training hard and testing, the best way that they can, giving their 100. And to see them with that desire and with that determination of wanting to do very well, it was very, very inspirational to see that. Because I remember from, back in the days when I was their rank, I understood that perception. I understood it then. I understand it now. And then to see a black belt test where one person tested for first degree black belt and two people testing for second degree black belt, it took me back. It took me back to a time where I was like, wow, that was me at one point in life. For one person, it was like, hey, we're going to see, how you do. We're basically testing you of your knowledge, not only in, demonstrating it in the physical sense, but also showing us in an intellectual sense. And we're just also seeing, the evolution of your maturity in the art to see if it's good enough to be, part of the black belt elite. And seeing two people test for second degree black belt, I'm just like, man, this is pretty wild. We're seeing them go from first to second. So now it's all about the maturity and the knowledge. And it just brought me back. I was smiling from ear to ear when I saw each one of those black belt candidates or people that were testing for black belt. Those candidates, those examinees do their very best. there was no doubt in my mind that every student testing, whether if it was for a higher color belt rank or a black belt rank, I knew for a fact that with confidence that, wow, they were in it to win it. They were working really hard to get to that point, and it showed. They really wanted to let people know, like, hey, this is our time, and this was fantastic, and it was great. And I'm happy to report that everybody that tested passed. They passed. All the people that were testing for a higher color belt rank, they passed. And it was awesome, and it was really, really cool. All the candidates that were testing for either black belt or a higher degree of black belt passed. It was great. It was great to see where they were going, how the change really was from where they once were to where they are now. And to see them do it physically and show us, what knowledge that they had retained and how it translates from, learning the material to displaying the material, and even possibly, if it need be, explain how that application works out. As a black belt, it makes me very proud. And I really want to say to all of those that did test, to those that tested for a higher color belt rank, I want to say congratulations and a job well done. You're definitely one step closer to earning a black belt, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of discipline to get to that level. So I'm very proud of them. Again, congratulations and a job well done. To those that got promoted to black belt or a higher level of black belt, I don't think there's nothing more I can say. At this point, it's like the people would say, I'm saying less. But if I had to say something, I'm definitely proud of each and every one of those guys, because they really put in the hard work and the effort to get where they want to go, to reach that higher echelon of excellence. The one person that tested for first degree black belt, he showed that he grew up and that he was ready. And he definitely did exactly what was asked of him. And he did that with confidence and with no fear. The two black belts that were testing for second degree black belt, I get it. It's a definite challenge in itself, a different type of vibe. But it was great to see how much they learned, how much it stuck with them, how much, information that they retained. And it definitely showed, that potential, that, what they can do in the future with that type of information. And I hope that with, the color belts that got promoted and the black belts that got promoted, I hope that going forward, it motivates you to wanting to get to that higher level, that higher degree of excellence. And I hope that you guys take all of that and you just direct that focus and and that determination, and you put it in a way where now I'm ready to get to that next step. It's all about going here rather than being where we previously were. And I think that if I was to give any advice, as long as you keep practicing on a consistent basis, if you work hard and you never give up, you will be a person that gets a lot of success in their life, guaranteed. But it's up to you in order to make that happen. No one else can do that for you. So that's just the way that I feel about it. Man, that was a lot that I put there on the table. Like, wow. But it was good. It was really good. We're going to take a little bit of a break. When we come back, obviously the greatest segment of them all, your favorite segment and mine, we're bringing it back mainly because the last few times we didn't have a Q&A forum. We did not have a time where we had a guest and we forgot to ask her, questions, with the rapid fire. So we're going to go ahead and do, a Q&A form. We will have some questions, and I will answer them. So do what you need to do, ladies and gentlemen. Take 5. Come back, though, because the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, yeah, we definitely are bringing the heat, and it's definitely going to be a hot one.
In life, we all want to have great health and excellent physical fitness. However, it's never given, only earned. That said, if you want to go to a gym that will help you to get there, then look no further than Kicked Up Fitness at National Business Parkway in Annapolis Junction, Maryland. Their mission at Kicked Up is to provide the ultimate functioning training facility that focuses solely on your success, with a diverse team that's highly qualified and dedicated to taking your fitness goals to the next level. Kicked Up also offers a variety of group classes and personal training programs that provide something for everyone, regardless of your fitness level. They believe in working hard, achieving results, all while having fun. So come visit their facility in person, which is located at 114 National Business Parkway, Suite 100 in Annapolis Junction, Maryland, 20701. Now, if you see my friend Sean Queen, who's the owner of Kicked Up, tell him that Benny Chow of Miscalculated sent you, and he'll hook you up with a complimentary 7-day pass just to try it out. Need more info? Give him a call. 410-888-9066. Email them at kufitnessnbp@gmail.com or visit them at their website at www.kufitnessnbp.com. Kicked Up Fitness. Never given, only earned.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. It's been good. It's really been good. Obviously, today was a great day filled with joy, excitement. It also was felt with a lot of determination to really give to you guys great content and just things that we want to share with you guys and to express. Going back a little bit to the beginning, it definitely feels a little bit weird, going back into podcasting again, for a little, I don't know if it's dramatic of me saying for the first time in a while, but it feels that way just because of the fact that, with my absence, being out, ill and ill-ridden and being sick, I didn't expect for me to be in a situation where I came back into podcasting and it just feels, a little bit wobbly. I feel like the training wheels need to get back on again. But I think that we did well, and obviously there's going to be more episodes on the way, more content. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing, and I'm ready to go. Well, this is the part of the program, as you know, where we get to near the end. But of course, before that, we have a usual statement that the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is asking for help on a voluntary basis. To anyone out there that would like to assist our podcast show by the ways of sponsorship or financially donating to the podcast show to help make the quality of our podcast that much better. All proceeds of our podcast will go towards, raising to get more and better equipment. Such as, let's say, for example, more microphones for our in-studio guests, XLR cables for those microphones, new headphones for those guests, and even a MacBook Pro, which is the official computer of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, because with the, a Mac in general, it does help us to not only edit the episode and to have like a very good quality of the episode, but it helps us to also do what we need to do, for the sake of the podcast. So here is a little bit of an extra added joke where, anything and everything that you want to donate, no matter what the value is, will help out. So say, for example, if you wanted to donate $5 million, not that I think anybody would do that, hey, we would definitely appreciate that. That would definitely cover more than we needed for present expenses and even future ones. If you wanted to even donate as little as $5, hey, again, we appreciate it. Every bit helps. All value counts, and we would appreciate that assistance. Now, you can make a donation by using the following, apps / websites. You can use PayPal and Venmo, and just go ahead and make your donation by going over to my tag name at Kim Hoang MD Actor. That's once again at KimHoangMDActor. Or if you want to use Cash App, you can do that. Just go over to my tag name, the $sign Kim Hoang MD Actor. Once again, that's the $sign KimHoangMDActor. And yeah, that's it. And now for your pleasure, we have the Q&A form. Dun, 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 dun. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You ask the questions, and I'm going to answer it. Normally, for a couple of past episodes, our standard is that we get 7 questions. However, we decided to sweeten the pot a little bit and always add like a little bonus question or 2. So we have 2 more bonus questions on top of the regular 7 that we have, which makes it a grand total of 9. And I want to go ahead and address it right now because I don't know how much time that we got. So let's just go for it. Question number 1. Kim, what are your opinions on martial art black belts that stay in a certain rank for a while and they do not get promoted to a higher rank? Samantha from Long Beach, California. Samantha, this hits home a little bit because me personally, I know people in real life that are in that exact situation. Example, and I'm just throwing this out there. There is a person that I know who is like a 5th degree black belt in Taekwondo. She has been a 5th degree since I've met her years and years ago, like maybe over 10 years ago. And this particular person has invited me to train with her and to observe a little bit of examinations and so forth. And she's always stayed at a 5th degree black belt. Now, I'm not disrespecting the fact that, earning a black belt is incredible. And especially if you're at a 5th degree black belt, that's amazing. But for her to be in a situation where, she's been a 5th degree for so long and is not willing to go to the next step of a 6th degree,
it's unfortunate, I think, because, this person in particular has a lot of potential to go ahead and get to that next level, to get to that 6th degree. And she knows people in the martial arts community, that she could probably test under because, whether if it's like, an ITF style or a WTF style, I feel like she has the resources to go ahead and do it. Why she does that, situation where she stays where she's at. I think she feels like she's comfortable of being there, which to me, it's like, hey, if you're comfortable, that's fine. Now, it's a difference if you were like, let's say a 5th degree black belt, but, you kind of retired, or, due to the fact that maybe you just didn't want it anymore, or if you were injured, that just kind of prevents you from going any further. I get it. But to me, if you're still alive and well and kicking and training and doing whatever it is that gets you physically moving, you should be in a position where, you should want to train hard and do well and do what's necessary to get to the next level, and to not progress in that way. I feel like it's very criminal. What person would want to stay a 5th degree black belt forever when you can go ahead and get to the higher level of the ladder of success, especially in the martial arts? So, that's the way that I feel. I know that might not be a very popular opinion with certain people and so forth, and that's fine. I think that's fair. I just want to be honest with, what I'm feeling in the matter, and I feel like with this type of question, to me, I do take it serious. So, question number 2. Kim, what are your opinions of the WWE recently joining the ESPN family? Brian from Tacoma, Washington. Brian, I would say from a business standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. And because of this acquisition, this new partnership, I think the WWE really scored big on this one. Getting paid billions and billions of dollars to be with the ESPN family. At first it was that WWE Monday Night Raw was going to be shown on Netflix. And that partnership went pretty well. The only objection I would have is that now all the PLE events and everything of that sort that is WWE will go through the ESPN app. And in order to be a member, you have to go ahead and subscribe to the app, which is in American dollars, in the American market, it's $29.29. Or I'm sorry, $29.99. So $29.99, close to $30, which gives you access to a lot of things for sure. But $30 a month, I don't know. Like, I really would have to think about that. And it just makes me disappointed. Like, wow, you're already getting rich. Why not just, make it a little bit more affordable for the fans, for those that are trying to be with, this particular situation, with all the fans and all the consumers and possible customers. Yeah, you already scored big. Make it cheaper, man. Like, if you said $10 a month, we can do that, or if you even said like $7.99 a month, we definitely can do that. $29.99 a month, I don't know about that. All right, question number 3. Kim, is it true that you recently competed in a martial arts tournament? Iris from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Iris, I went to a martial arts tournament as a spectator. I didn't compete.
And that was over at the U.S. Capitol Classics recently. I think for me, I just wanted to go ahead and check it out since it's like one of the biggest tournaments in our area, and at least in the Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Northern Virginia area. Because, when that tournament is around every year, they put up a good show. And I definitely think it's a great event. I just didn't want to compete. And when I'm going to compete, I don't know. It may not be for a while. It may be never, because I feel, for me personally, where I'm at in the martial arts and where I am in life, I'm comfortable being where I'm at and just being a student and just learning and just, taking it all in. That's that, and I'm cool with that. Like, that's fine. I'm okay with it. Question number 4, Kim. Between Whole Foods or Wegmans, which one do you prefer? John from Syracuse, New York. Oh, man. Well, let's differentiate the two. Whole Foods is a certified organic retailer. It's the first and only certified organic grocery store that meets a rigorous organic standards and are inspected by the USDA, which stands for the United States Department of Agriculture. Now, Wegmans does offer a wide variety of organic products that they have over about 4,000 organic items and are committed to providing more organic options. Now, let's put it this way. I should say that I prefer Whole Foods because it's an organic retailer. And because it's organic, with all the foods, like the fresh produce and fruits and even like, meats and stuff like that, that should be the winner. And I do like Whole Foods, don't get me wrong. I prefer Wegmans. And the reason why I prefer Wegmans is because I like the food options a little bit better. Like, example, if I'm going to get sushi, the sushi over at Wegmans is way better. Has a lot more choices. The bakery for like all the desserts and so forth, like cakes and cookies and stuff like that, Wegmans got it beat, at least in my opinion, that they do. And they just have, more food options that, like hot, like real good hot Asian cuisine food, like Chinese food. And they just have more food options that I feel a little bit more comfortable. And plus, I didn't know this, but Wegmans sells truffles, which is a very expensive like mushroom that usually you find it in France. I saw it locked up on like a bed of rice, and each nugget is $1,000, and I'm like, holy crap, that's insane. So, yeah, I mean, Wegmans, to me, I prefer it more. I mean, I'm not dissing Whole Foods. I think it's great. But for me, I think the Wegmans is the one that did it the best. Question number 5. Kim, what are your opinions on martial arts students who, that do training on their own and not attending classes in the school that they train at normally? Dana from Wichita, Kansas. Dana, recently there was a discussion that my martial arts instructor had said. And he said that when you don't, attend class and you decide to kind of do it on your own, you basically kind of decline in your training. Because the kind of training that you do on your own will not be the same type of training that you get in the class. And, I do agree with that aspect. However, respectfully speaking, if I saw him, I would say, sir, I would minorly disagree with you, because I feel like if you are training on your own, you are at least making somewhat of an effort to put martial arts in the forefront. There are a lot of reasons why people train on their own. I have done that for quite a while, actually, recently. And it's not that I wouldn't want to go back to class. I love to go back to class. It's just for me personally, because of my day job and the schedule of it, I probably get out, like I work typically at very earliest 8 o'clock in the morning, and I get out like by 5:30, almost 6 o'clock. By the time I get out, let's say, it probably would take me through the afternoon and evening traffic to get to where I train at. It would probably take at least an hour, maybe a little bit more. So by the time I get back out there and wanting to train, it would take me about, it would take me that long time. But and when I get there, I only probably may have 30 minutes left in class. I prefer to get there as quick as I can and as early as I can, so I know that I'm guaranteed that I'll be able to stay throughout the whole entire duration of the class, which is usually about like an hour and some change. I think just attending only a portion of it is disrespectful to my teacher and to the school. And I feel like, from in that specific example, I would say at least I'm making an effort to train on my own every Saturday and Sunday when I do have free time. Unfortunately, I don't have those type of jobs where, like, I could start early and leave early. Or I don't have one of those jobs that geographically is near the martial arts school where I train at. Because if it was like a thing where, like, hey, I get out at like 5:30 and I'm literally like only about maybe 10 minutes away from the martial arts school where I train at, that's doable. And that's more of a better like use of time management. But I don't think it's a waste. I think that, if you do train on your own, but you haven't been going to class a lot lately for whatever reason, to me, I feel like you're putting, you're making a good effort. So that's my take on that. All right. Question number 6. Kim, based on the preseason games that the Baltimore Ravens played recently, what do you think about their chances in the regular season? William from Berlin, Maryland. Oh, all right. So near Ocean City. William, we won all 3 games, man. We really did. It was great. It was one of those moments where, like, each game we won, and we won in a big fashion. So it was a real big butt kicking from the Ravens standpoint. We they did the job. They did what they needed to do, and that was a wrap. Just one and done. Out the door type thing. And I think, honestly, if they play the regular season like they did, in the preseason games, I'm thinking that they're going to do very well. I usually say that the Ravens do well in the regular season, and they usually do make the playoffs. The question is like, what record will they have? What position will they have in the AFC playoffs? And whether or not they can go all the way. They've been having a history of doing well during the season, and then when it comes to the playoffs, the nervousness kicks in and they don't do so hot. But I have good faith that they're going to do well. We will make to the playoffs. How far, I don't know. Part of me says, part of me wants Wants is the key word. I want them to go all the way to the Super Bowl and win it. I think every fan of the Baltimore Ravens want that. But, that's too early to say. So, question number 7. Kim, do you think that action comedy movie star Jackie Chan can still go strong in his career doing stunts and fight choreography scenes like he does? Anita from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Anita, Jackie Chan is a legend. Let's not get it twisted. Jackie Chan is one of the best to ever do it. He is an action star, a comedian. Every film that he does is amazing because he does, his own stunts and fight scenes, and some of those stunts and fight scenes, they do go wrong, as we see sometimes in like the quote unquote blooper reel of each movie that he's ever done. Being that he's now getting older, he's not getting any younger. He's not a spring chicken. I think he's approaching like around his 70s pretty soon, I think. Can he still do the fight scenes? I think he can. It's just that obviously he might need to alter it, as well as like the stunts. I feel like he can still do it. He just needs to alter it because, his body is not as young anymore. So if he does take a hit, or if he falls and he falls hard, it's going to take a longer time for his body to recover, But I think that's just more of a reason where Jackie should probably switch gears and focus a little bit more on his acting. And I've seen that lately, that he's been doing movies where a lot of his acting has a lot of emotional content. And I'm really, really happy to see that. I'm inspired to see that, because I feel like from my standpoint, being a local film actor, that's just motivation of wanting to succeed as well as he has. And I hope that will happen one day. So we'll see. Now it's time for the bonus questions. I'm really excited about it. Number 8, Kim, what's your opinions of people that are 50 years or older still competing in martial art tournaments? Jose from Orlando, Florida. Jose, I think it's really cool. I think it's cool that, people that are 50 years old or older are still out there kicking and competing and wanting to really do it, and it's incredible. No matter what belt level they're in, if they're like a 50-year-old white belt that want to compete, to like, more recently, Billy Blanks, the martial arts action star, who is a legend in, the martial art tournament scene back in the 80s. He recently competed, I think at the Long Beach International Martial Art Tournament, where he was competing and sparring. And I know that, at his old age, around the 60s, the warrior spirit never died. And he wanted to go ahead and go in it. From what I've seen from the video footage, he still did some stuff that was Billy Blanks of, back in the day. Yes, he did win his fight, but you could tell, like, with, his current age, obviously there's some things that his body would not allow him to do, which he didn't do, but he still compensated in other ways to win. And just the look on his face about, man, I'm competing again for the first time in a while. That's motivating. And I think that, if there's anybody out there that's old in that generation, loop of 50 years or older, if you want to do it, I would say go for it. If you're still willing and able, and your body is still willing and able, go for it. But if you don't want to, that's your option, and that's your choice. So either way, I respect it. I always feel like there's enough room for everybody to compete in, no matter what age you are.
So let's celebrate that, for sure. Last question number 9. Kim, when do you believe that it's time to retire from the creative medium that you currently are involved with? Isabella from Eugene, Oregon. Now let me explain this. When we say creative medium, we're talking about like a creative art form that you like. Example, it could be like acting. It could be something of filmmaking. It could be being a musician. It could be a food chef, a photographer. It could be a tattoo artist. It could be an artist where, you paint stuff on the canvas, etc., and a whole lot more. That's what we mean by creative medium. Now, to address the question about when do you believe that it is time to retire from said creative medium that you are currently involved with, I think the answer is you basically stop and retire it when you have no more passion for it. When you just stop completely and you one day becomes like a week, and a week becomes like 2 weeks, and 2 weeks become a month. A month gets to another month, building on to a year. When you start seeing that pattern and you just cease all operations, I feel like that is the time when you can declare that you are retired from that creative medium. And I think that's a choice that every person has to make. That's their own personal choice. We all get into this part of the world in life that we want to do creative things because it makes us feel alive and we love it, and it's something that we're passionate about, no doubt. But if you have so much stuff going on and you just stop doing your creative medium and you haven't gone back in quite a while, the fire within you to do that creative medium is no longer as strong as it used to be, or it's just dead and gone, then at that point you're retired. I've known some people who lately have declared retirement from their creative mediums. Some of these people were musicians, actors, and things of that nature. And, it hurt me to hear that, because I have so much love and respect for these people that, wow, they're just amazing at what they do. And the fact that they just want to toss in the towel, it's nothing that I can do. I can't tell them, no, you can't retire. You need to stay on board with it. I can't do that. The only thing that I can hope and what I can do is just wish them the best of luck, keep them in my thoughts and prayers, and just keep it moving. Just because their opportunity ends doesn't mean mine doesn't. It keeps going. And if it keeps going for me, I'm okay with it. So, I think that's it. And I think that's all that we have, and that's the end of it. Wow, Q&A actually did pretty good. We did all right. So let me go ahead and end this, guys, because it's been fun. And I'll just go ahead and explain it real quick that, you can follow the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience on a lot of, ways, social medias and so forth. We are on Facebook, so go ahead and go to facebook.com/the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, or just go to Facebook. There is a search box. You type in the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience and we're there. So just go ahead and do that. Like and follow us. We definitely will appreciate it. We are also on Instagram and Twitter, now known as X. And you can find us at our tag name, which is at TKHPC Experience. Once again, that's at TKHPCEXPERIENCE. And if you like us and you follow us, we will follow you back. Now,
We are on a lot of podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Audible, and iHeartRadio. Do us a favor. If you actually are on Spotify, please give us a 5-star ranking. If you are on Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star ranking and a positive written review, because the more times that you do that for each of those podcasting platforms in Spotify and Apple Podcasts, the more good traction we start to create, and our podcast will be thrown into the front of the lines, and somebody could be like, oh my gosh, the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, I heard about this because Michelle was recommending this podcast. She said that we should like it, we should subscribe to it, and we should follow it. Yes to all of that. No matter what podcasting platform you have, please, like, follow, subscribe to our podcast show on all of your podcasting platforms that you belong to. You know what I mean? Last but not least, if you want to be a guest, if you want to be a guest host, if you have any questions for our Q&A forum, or if you have any suggestions, please email us at the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience at gmail.com. Now, whatever the subject is, put it in the subject box, and then whatever that you want to write about of the subject, write it and email us in the body of the email, and then send it out. We'll probably take about a day or two to actually fully read it and to respond to you, but we will, because we like communication in this way. We think it's awesome, and we like to interact with people that interact with us. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really glad that we got a chance to do this episode and to have fun like we normally do. It's been a blast. Obviously, this is not the end. We still have plenty more episodes to go. I can't say it's the beginning, because the beginning maybe happened over in the beginning of 2025 for the season, and we're still going, man. We're still pumping up great content for you guys, because, well, you deserve it for sure. So, thank you for believing in us. Thank you for your love and support. We truly do appreciate it. It is incredible. Please spread the word out about our podcast to all of your friends, family members, co-workers, whether if you want to do that in person, which is a little bit more personal, or if you want to go ahead and share it on all of your social media networks, like the Facebook and the Instagrams and the X's, formerly known as Twitter, whether if you want to share it on Snapchat or even TikTok. Sharing is caring, you know what I mean? It's brand awareness, and it helps out when we do appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys for continuing to give me so much love and respect and support. It really means a lot from the bottom of my heart. So that being said, we are out of here. Thank you. We appreciate you. And for the one time here over in the KU Dungeon in Annapolis Junction, Maryland, this is your boy Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation, the host with the most, the man with the plan, the guy that has the power that can bring it within the hour, and the dude with the right attitude, saying thank you, God bless you, arigato. We will do it again real soon. Take care of yourselves and be safe out there, guys, because it doesn't do us any good that if you put yourself in danger and somehow that danger will lead you to your dismemberment, you get thrown in a pine box getting buried 6 feet under. We don't want that. We want you to be healthy. We want you to be happy. We want you to be thriving. And we want you to be at your very best. You know what I mean? Anybody else that tells you otherwise, that you don't deserve it, you can tell them to go kick rocks and walk in the other direction, because that type of negativity doesn't do any good for anybody. Doesn't for me. Why would it for you? Take care, guys. It's been a wonderful moment. We will be back, and we'll continue to create more great content here on the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I love y'all. Be good, be safe, be well, and we'll do it again real soon. All right? Y'all take care. Peace.